Hello everyone. So I hope you will enjoy this 3 amazing day in Odoo experience. My name is Vanero Michael, and today we will talk about the Mixins. So don't forget, if you want to ask some question at the end of this talk, don't hesitate to scan here the QR code here, and you will be redirected to a pad, and don't hesitate here to ask your question here. So the first thing, generally when you have a question, like for example here, the Mixins, is what's first a Mixins? So my first reflex generally it's going to the internet and check what happened and what's the definition of a Mixin in fact. So in Wikipedia I found this definition. So a Mixins are a language concept that allows a programmer to inject some code into a class. Mixin programming is a style of software development in which units of functionality are created in a class and then mixed in with other classes. So to summarize a little bit this definition, the goal here is to create your own class. This class will just be used to be reusable for other class, and the goal is to inherit some mechanism from the main class, from the abstract class, to other classes. So now we know this definition. How we can do that in Odoo? Odoo come with an MVC way to work. So MVC means model view controller. So that means that we have model, and inside the model, it's directly possible to have an inheritance. You have different kind of inheritance, but here today we will check here this kind of inheritance. So here the goal is to have a first model here and create your new model, and inside this new model you will add your new stuff if you want, but you can also retake existing fields or existing methods perhaps. So to do that, first we use generally in programming what we named an abstract class, but here with Odoo we work with models, so here we have an abstract model. So generally the model is what you declare when you create a new model, so the model is really a business thing, let's say. And here it's really an abstract model, because here the goal of this abstract model is not to store data inside this model. The real goal is just to reuse all the feature you will create inside this abstract model and to reuse in other real model, in fact. To do that, obviously it's not always necessary to use XPath, but you also have a way to, if you want, use this Mixin in existing model, and if you want to add some part in a view, you can use the XPath, or you can obviously create a new view directly. Okay. So here, let's have a specific use case. I will create here a new model furniture. Okay, it's just here for the speech here. Obviously, if you need a furniture, normally you will certainly do that in the product model. But here, let's say that I create a new furniture model. Here, I will try to first give some new tools about communication, about the website, and also the portal. So the first is, now we know that Mixin is something you can reuse in other model. It's really fine, but first, how we can find the different Mixin we have in Odoo. So the first thing we can do is check the documentation. Inside the documentation, if you go here in odoo.com, so I have a link, but you can also just search to Mixin, you will find here all the different Mixin here. Obviously, here you have not all the Mixin in Odoo. You have, let's say, the most famous one, the most used one. You can use here, and you have some documentation to explain you how to use these different Mixins. Another way to do, it's more programming one, is just also to check here in your editor. You can just, for example, make a search like that. You just search to the Mixin, and you will find all the Mixin. Generally, the R&D try to put Mixin inside the model. It's not always the case. You can also search perhaps with abstract model to see what you can find. When you do that, for example, you can pick this one. When you pick this one, you see that normally when we create something like a mixin, it's a good thing to have good docstring to explain you a little bit what you have inside your mixin, what's the purpose of this mixin, and also to have a documentation about the different methods you can find directly inside this mixin. So as I say, you have two ways. So you can go directly to the documentation, or you can directly go to the code. Okay. Obviously, if you have no docstring inside the code, you can also read the code. It's, let's say, the worst case you can find. Okay. So whoops, I go back to the present show. So here I will just show you an example, and I think it's the most famous mixin we generally use in Odoo. It's the mail thread one. So the mail thread mixin is used to display the chatter at the right part of your screen when you create a new model. How to do that? It's in fact easy in Odoo, because again, it's the goal of the mixin. The goal is not to reinvent the wheel here. You just have to depend of some specific thing, and you will directly have the power of the chatter. Sorry. So the first thing to do is, because it's an inheritance, you have to be sure that the module inside your manifest, you will depend of the module where you have your mixin. Okay. So for example, mail thread is in mail module. So it's the reason why here inside my manifest I will add the mail depends here. The second thing, I will just show you what you can find. So I just summarize and I just try to have an easy piece of code here. So I just summarize a lot what you can find in mail thread. Obviously, if you want to have more documentation, go directly to the mail thread file. But here, that's the normal model and the normal mixin. Okay. So here you see that you declare here directly, and here you inherit in Python from the model.abstraction here. Generally, if you create new normal model, you generally here call models.model, but here in this case we have abstract, because as I say, the goal is not to store here information in a specific table, it's just to put all these different feature, field, etc. inside another model and mix in directly in another model. So here, for example, we have message IDs, you have followers IDs, you can find some message posts, etc., etc. So now I will inherit the previous model I just showed you here, and here I create my new model. So here you see that here it's correctly here a models.model, because it's a normal model. Here I want to store really the information. And here what I had is just an inherit. So I inherit here the mail thread, and that means that I can add all the fields I want, but more of these fields I will see here the fields that we have previously in the mail thread model. It's the same also for the function. So all the definition you have in the mail thread file, you see also here in my new model. So that means that you can call here, for example, message post, and you have also some other methods. Obviously, you can reuse, or you can also overwrite the method, the normal method, if you want. About the view, to display the chatter, it's really easy. We had a new tags here. We had the tag chatter here. You just have to put here the chatter, and just doing that, you automatically see, but it's in white, so you don't really see it, but here you have all the chatter. Okay, so I will show you, in fact, in a real database. So here I create a new menu, etc., where you can reach my new model. When I click on something, you see at the right part here you directly have out of the box, without any develop anything about chatter, you have directly something where you can send a new email. So you can send a message that will send you directly a message to all the different followers you have inside this record. You can also directly log something. So that means that here you will just log something inside this record, okay? So just out of the box, you have directly that. So if you want to see a little bit more what we can have inside the code, I will show you here. So I put a lot of mixin here. I just create one model, is just here for this presentation. But obviously, normally I think it's better to have different model to do what I want here. But here is just to show you what we can do. So here you see, I inherit from mail thread here. Okay, and just doing that, it's also possible to, for example, reuse all the power we have in mail thread. So here I just show you that you can display here a chatter, but you can also interact with this chatter directly. You have some methods, for example, if you want to, when you click on a button, add a new follower, or you want to send a message when you have a specific state, for example. It's also directly possible here. So for example, here I can create here a new record, let's say table 2. Let's say that for the moment it's in draft. I will, for example, put that in sale, and here you see that first in the chatter you have some information about that. So first you see that we pass from draft to sale, and we directly have a log note here. So how it works like that. So here you see that here I had some new things. So here directly I forget something. So I just reset here. I will just put here a new expert, and I will click here. So here you see that doing that, automatically I had here Michael as a follower. Why we have this behavior is just because here we had here message subscribe. This method is come directly with the mail thread inheritance, okay? It's not something I have to declare, so you can directly ask that. Tell to Odoo which partner you want for this record, and automatically you see that when you click here on a button, that had directly for me a new partner directly. So that means that this partner is now a follower. When you will send an email, this person will also receive an email directly, okay? For example, when I reset here to draft, I want to remove this follower, for example. To do that, it's really easy. You just have to call the message unsubscribe. Okay, I don't know if you see, perhaps I will a little bit zoom in. So here you see, you just have to call here the message unsubscribe. You just call here the specific expert you want, and you can unsubscribe some person directly. You can also track some information. When you have a field, and this field, you change the value of this field, you want to track that because you never know if one of your employee changed, for example, the price of something or another field or the state. To do that, it's pretty easy. You can just put tracking equal true. Doing that had directly and automatically, when you change, for example, the state, so if you put here, that will automatically had some tracking. That's cool when you really want that every time you change something in the field, but sometimes you want to decide when you want to have a log note like that, or tracking. To do that, it's also really easy. It's just another method. So doing that, you can just also track a subtype. So that means that here, you can say when you have, for example, the value out of stock inside in my status, then you can track here the information. That means that you have more granularity and you can decide more when you want to track something. Okay. You can also send a template like that. You can directly send an email. For example, in my case, you have your furniture is out of stock. You want to warn all your employees that they cannot sell anymore this product, for example. You can directly track with a template. You create an email template there, and it will automatically send for you a template like that to the user you want. Okay, So then it's okay. Then you also have the mail activities. So mail activities here is sometimes in some record you want, if you are like me, generally I forget a lot of things. So you want to be sure that you don't forget that this furniture have to be checked by your colleague, for example. To do that, you can use the mail activity mixin. The mail activity mixin is allow you here to add here this button inside the chatter. When you click here on an activity, you can, for example, say a to-do, and you can say check with my employee, for example. You can save it, you can mark as done. To do that, it's quite simple. Again, you just have here to add here a new inheritance. You had here mail activity mixin, and inside the views, if I go to my view, you will automatically have without anything. So here you can see that I just put the chatter and automatically it comes directly here at the right of my normal chatter button, let's say, and you see here the activity. But here it's cool to have this kind of activity, but again it comes also with some specific methods. For example, you want, when you create a table, a table tree, for example, you want to automatically create a new activity, for example. You see here, it creates automatically a new activity, for example, check with my employee. To do that, I go back to my model, and in my creation here, I just call activity schedule, and automatically I can have some template, etc., and automatically I can create some activities directly. So that's for the communication. Now let's talk. Whoops, sorry. I will do that. Now let's talk about the documents. So something also which can be really cool, it's when you add an attachment to my new record, I want to directly see this attachment inside the correct folder in the document application we have in Odoo. To do that again, for the moment it was easy because everything was about communication, so it was inside the mail module, but here it's something in document. So you have to, and don't forget to add here the documents inside the depends inside your manifest, and after that you can add here the documents mixin, where you have different methods. Again, the goal of this method is in which folder you want to put the new attachment, with which task, and which who will be the owner of this. So when you do that, if you, for example, had here a table, for example, you see I just here add a table here. When you go there, automatically inside my folder furniture, I see my new table with the correct tags furniture here. So again, it's not magic. If you have a look, I just create here a new folder, a new tag, and I just here with these three methods link that. Okay. So whoops, sorry. So about the portal, so that's also a really interesting mixing. Sometimes, perhaps here for the furniture is not really the best example, but I will give you a real example in Odoo. In Odoo, we use that, for example, for your subscription or for your sale order. You want sometimes to share the sale order to a customer. It's a specific one, and you want to be that the customer will be able to visit and to check what happened on this subscription or this order, for example. To do that, you can use the portal mixin, for example. To do that, the portal mixin comes with an access token and a compute access URL. Just thanks to that, it's possible directly to expose your own the order of the customer. So that means that if I go back here, If I want, for example, to share this, I can. So I just click here on the button share. I click here, over here. I go to a private session, and here you see that directly I see a share. So you don't see a real share, but it's just a page where imagine the rest of the share. You see, it comes here with a specific link. Inside this specific link you have an access token, and it's due to this access token that you are allowed to see that. If, for example, I change a character here, I had just a D, for example, you see that when you click here, you cannot find anymore this share, just because it's protected with a token. Again, make really care with the portal Mixin, because it's also touching some security, so don't expose too much thing. You have also to understand all the security problems you can find, but normally you can find everything with the access token. And I think that the time is over. So if you have questions, so perhaps I will go here to see the different question you have. So don't hesitate. So if you have no question, perhaps I can go a little bit further to see other Mixins. So what's the difference between an adding? So in fact, for this question, it's really linked. Inside the portal, you also have some specific access rights about the portal, and it's really important because in Odoo you can have different type of user. So you have the let's say the employee, which are the user which can access to the backend. You also have the portal user. The portal user is the people which is normally for this Mixin, okay? And you also have the public user, it's a user without any connection. So here it's really linked, in fact. All the portal groups are really made for all the portal mixing mechanism here. So it works with that. And it's also something really important, because here you will certainly add your own model, so you will certainly also add your own security rule. And as I say, you have to be really you have to take care of the rule you give to the different portal, because as I say, a portal you have to expose some record, and you have just to limit the person with the access token. You have some specific thing, so for example, about a subscription or an invoice. The problem is, imagine that you have an accountant in your company. This accountant copy-paste the link, and you fire this accountant. You don't want anymore that this accountant can access to that. So perhaps you have to also create your own mechanism to rotate perhaps this token and do something different. But everything is linked. Obviously you have to do it some part by your own, but you already have a lot of the mechanism which is already made for you.
Maybe we can put the QR codes back up.
Yes.
So if anyone has any other questions, you can just put them in the pad and I will read them. Maybe a question from my side.
Yeah.
What is the most common pitfall within Mixins, within using Mixins?
So as I say, Mixin is just there to help you, but the Mixin are not there to replace you. So make care, as I say, for example, here I gave the example for the portal, make care that it's not a magic behind the portal Mixin. You have to take care about the security, you have to take care about the implementation of your own specific feature, because it can also depend. A Mixin is something really generic, you will certainly adapt what you need. And again, about Mixin, it's not something magical in Odoo. You can also create your own Mixin if you want. It's just about inheritance, like you can inherit other model, and you can add monkey patch, perhaps some methods to do what you want. And in fact, you can do what you want. It's just something to avoid you to reinvent every time the wheel. It's just a tool for you, in fact.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it was very clear because you don't have any more questions from the crowd. So thank you for today.
So thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.